my name is Paige Jessop, and I will be talking to you guys about humor in intercultural business communications. Humor is something that shows your personality and it shows character, but you need to know when and where it is appropriate. Humor in intercultural positions can sometimes be offensive if it's misunderstood, so you need to know whenever it's acceptable in a business setting. Though it is a tricky subject in many cultures, you need to know that if you use humor in the appropriate situation, it can relieve tension and it can offer cohesiveness in a single unit. So different cultures have different social boundaries, so you just need to be thoughtful and respectful of those. Through some cross-examination that I did, I've noticed that some really varying countries are America, Asia, and Africa. So beginning with America, their humor is kind of on a legal level. Although the popular media kind of glamorizes it with strips like what I just passed out as a Dilbert comic, it isn't necessarily true because in business meetings it's really fast-paced and agenda-bound, so they don't really use humor. And also the United States has a lot of policies against, it has the most policies regarding workplace behavior and etiquette. Humor during meetings isn't necessarily as common as humor on a more personal level, and seeing as America's workforce is very ethnically different, gender and racially different, you need to make sure that you're not using like racial or ethnical slurs whenever you're talking to other people, because it is severe and you could lose your job or you could have a lawsuit. Secondly, Asian humor is kind of, it's a little bit different because it's on a more intellectual level. Although small talk may be acceptable before the meeting, once the meeting starts, the humor and the comedy becomes obsolete. If there are pauses, you're not supposed to fill those with chit-chat or small talk because it's insulting to people that are coordinating that meeting, and it also lessens your intelligence as an individual. Also, it's important to realize that even though you might have a similar background, that you could still cross certain boundaries if you don't think through what you say. So an example of that is I found on a Faux Pod's blog about a Chinese American woman that was coordinating a fair in Colorado for cultural diversity, and she decided that it would be entertaining if they had rented out sumo wrestler suits, but another woman on the committee that was also Japanese American found it offensive, and she didn't want people dressed up in sumo wrestler suits and mock Japanese language. So you just got to think about, even if you're on that same cultural boundary, you could still offend other people. Thirdly, African humor is on a more social level. It is kind of thought as necessary for the social context, and it can be business or it can be casual. So it's perceived as a cure for motivation and cooperation. Much African humor is light and friendly, and it often includes self-deprecation, which is the ability to make fun of yourself in any situation. In fact, it is so important that some consider it a daily survival mechanism. Jokes about ethnic groups are, such as speech and customs, are common. They communicate the difference. They celebrate the difference of society. An example found in Richmond's book, Into Africa, Intercultural Insights, explains a story about an American woman that went to go visit a superior in Bilowi, Africa, and she waited, and when she entered the room, she said, "Oh, you are really big, sir," and she was returned with a smile and an extended visa. So it just kind of depends on where you are and what kind of humor you use. And in that case, it was more complimentary. So just in conclusion, keep in mind some of the comments that you may be using may or may not be appropriate for the situation. And overviewing just the 3 countries that I chose, in America, it's a more legal situation. In Asia, it's more intellectual. In Africa, it's more social. And I'd also like to leave you guys with a quote. This is by Chris Robert, by the article by Karen Klein, and it states, "Almost nothing makes you more comfortable than sharing a laugh about something universal. So sometimes humor works exceedingly well across cultures to make people feel better about each other and about doing business together."